What's Bryce Mitchell think about all this? I was just about to ask you, what would you say is harder on the body? Professional wrestling or jiu-jitsu?
I don't know, because I was so much younger.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. You know, I just had my first surgery because of jiu-jitsu, so
Right.
I would have to say pro wrestling was easier on my body.
But wouldn't it fall under the same category as like a doctor who gets an F or a D, right? But he's still a doctor, right? That
Right.
Jedi could have been a D Jedi. He could have been.
No, exactly. Exactly.
All right, let's do it, Ed. Welcome to the Sofa Kingdom podcast with your host, Nelson.
I'm Ian.
Ed, and our very special guest today.
Shawn.
For those of you that are visually impaired in the podcast, two thumbs were pointed straight up in the air.
Straight up, if you're
and
not
then a middle
watching.
finger towards Ian.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's understandable.
I forget that this is both visual and audio.
Yes.
Yes.
So as a TV star, I generally just go towards the hard camera.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There you go.
Do you do like the office thing from time to time throughout the day where you just like look to the audience and like, I can't believe that happened?
Well, you have to if you want to live in this reality.
So you dabble with it. We are in a virtual reality kind of or simulation? AI?
Simulation theory?
Yes.
I mean,
Ed thinks there is.
I'm sure there is. I mean, there's multiple dimensions, I'm sure.
Sure.
I don't waste a moment's thought on that. Because
So you don't want to think about the other variations of Shawn that could be out there?
not at all. Not at all.
What's Bryce Mitchell think about all this?
He's losing his fucking mind.
Well, yeah, you know.
Yeah. I mean, well, it wasn't all there to begin with, but I feel like
I wonder if the Josh Emmett knockout just like changed him.
totally
Yeah.
changed. Yeah. It would have been nice if it changed his perspective to be like a normal person.
Yeah.
Then everybody's gonna be like,
Like
he's
he was
out of
just
his
like really
fucking mind.
country, and he was like feeding his chickens, and then he took that overhand right, and then he's like, Hitler's not a bad guy. It's like, goddamn, Josh, how hard you hit him? How fucking hard you punch that dude?
Really fucking.
We need to hit him again. I mean, we got to straighten him out.
Or did it just make him comfortable?
Oh,
Yeah.
it knocked all the hesitation.
Yeah. That's even more dangerous.
No
when you really
filter
think
anymore.
about it. Yeah.
Well, it's like my grandmother. She's 90. She's going to be 95 in a couple weeks, and she has zero filter.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if she doesn't like you, she will tell you.
Oh, well,
and
that's actually a good thing. Though,
it is.
You know? Yeah.
I work with elderly people. I won't say who or where, but you are correct. I think there reaches a certain age where you shit and piss yourself so many times where you're just like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say what is on my mind.
I'm just gonna tell you how I
And
feel.
just so you guys are wondering, that's what you have to look forward to the older you get. Yeah.
you do know that. You do know I'm a nurse, right?
That's true. Yeah. So you've seen your fair share.
and then I take care of you. So yeah.
Well, I know where to go. I'm just gonna like wheel up to your house and ring the bell.
Yeah.
And be like,
I'll just fucking power wash you outside.
I'll stay flexible so I can do the baby pose.
Thank you, Shawn. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, Shawn, when I first got to meet you and get to know you, one of the things that you mentioned that was really interesting to me was that you dabbled in the world of professional wrestling.
I did it. When I came back from college, there was really nothing around. There wasn't jiu-jitsu like there is now. You know, it was 93, 94, and I was bored. I played football at UCF, and you miss that, you know, when you hate yourself and physical violence is your therapy.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And you're not allowed to punch people in the face because there's things called police and
Yeah.
society
laws.
society and laws.
Yeah.
You miss that, so you look for something, and I found pro wrestling. And actually, I was training right out here, like literally, probably like right there on Royal Palm Avenue, wherever we are.
shit.
Like
Royal
literally,
Palm,
that's where I first started, and then went from there. And then 15 years. My last match was in 2010. Because I started jiu-jitsu in 2007, and like if I would have found jiu-jitsu before wrestling, I never would have done wrestling.
Right,
I never would have done
right.
it. But I've always been athletic, and I've always just been a natural performer.
Sure.
So it just kind of made sense, but it was nothing that I actually loved. It
Right.
was just something that I did and had fun doing it. You know, I made a lot of good friends. Had a lot of tryouts with the WWE, and the last time they called me, I was 36 years old, and I'm like, look, guys, I'm getting tired of living out of a suitcase.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask you, what would you say is harder on the body? Professional wrestling or jiu-jitsu?
I don't know, because I was so much younger.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. You know, I just had my first surgery because of jiu-jitsu, so
Right.
I would have to say pro wrestling was easier on my body.
Wow.
But you know,
That's comforting.
Yes.
I was in a tag team, so it made it easy. I didn't have to do like, I wasn't a singles wrestler where I was
Right.
out there the whole time.
So out of the two, like you were the one doing the backflips off of the ropes,
Yeah, I was going to say,
or the power bomb.
based off your tiny stature, I was going to say you were a luchador, right?
Well, believe it or not, I did this. I used to do this move where I hopped up onto the top rope from the ring,
Yes.
pull myself up, and do like a Vader bomb splash.
Oh God!
It was
thank
it was
you.
pretty. It was
Yeah.
pretty.
I'm sure.
I'm glite I didn't have to take it.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
that's
like,
yeah.
I feel bad for the people that receive the power bomb.
And the guy just laying there looking up like, please hit this right, please.
You know, sometimes accidents happen.
Yeah.
So in the circuit that you were in, did everyone have to have some sort of professional training that they had to present, or was it just based off of like, hey, we like you, you can kind of handle yourself in the ring?
You cannot get into a ring without any training.
Yeah.
There's so much. Like I trained for like a year and a half before I had my first match.
Wow.
Like what you don't. Like, I mean, it's different nowadays. Now they'll train you for like 3 months and you can get into a ring. But like they wouldn't even let us into the ring until we learned certain things.
Sure.
So
Like
you know,
falling. I would
not even
assume.
falling, just like little. Like honestly, it was a lot of wrestling, like actual like catch wrestling.
Yeah.
And so like they wanted you to learn a lot of that. They wanted you to learn how to lock up correctly and things of that nature. And it was just it was a bit of a like it was you got hazed. Not
Yes.
shouldn't say hazed, but like you had to prove yourself
Yeah.
in order to to get to a match where you actually got paid to do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I did it in Puerto Rico I always lived in there for almost a year. So
That's awesome. That's
which
awesome.
was wrestling college. Like
Yeah.
everything up till then was just fun, but that like living and doing it as a living in Puerto Rico was totally like just a firsthand like education that you just can't buy.
That's awesome. So speaking of hazing, right? Like when I was in the service, one of the craziest hazes that they did was called the atomic sit-up. Have you ever heard of this?
I know exactly what it is.
Have you heard of this?
I believe. Yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of like a magic trick too.
It's a magic trick because something goes in. It basically, for those that don't know what an atomic sit-up is they blindfold you and they tell you, I'm going to hold your shoulders down. You're going to try to do a sit-up as hard as you can, but you won't be able to do it because you're blindfolded. Oh, that makes complete sense, right? To moron. And then while you're holding them down, there's another person on the other side who happily drops trowel and their boxers, and they wait for you to do this sit-up as hard as you can into their ass.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, they let you go and you face plant.
Oh yeah,
It's-
yeah. I always thought things through, so I was immune to this type of hazing. Other hazing, they got me by force. There was one time that I was notorious for getting groups of people together and stealing all the basic training boots, tying them into knots, and then throwing them into a shower.
You were real popular.
Right? So then the rest of the day, like the worst thing you could do is get your boots wet and your socks wet when you have to march all day. So like we only reserved this for the biggest of assholes, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then everyone else was just kind of an innocent bystander.
Yeah.
So I did this. They knew that I did this. So I was going about my day like la-di-da, running down the stairs, and like 5 guys grabbed me. I couldn't fight them no matter how hard I tried. They took me into a shower, turned the water on, and then I had to get into like roll call. So like I'm standing, like, and they're examining like, you know, are your buttons right and your shirt iron and shit, and like I'm just dripping water from head to toe. Joe Sargent looked at me, he goes, just walks on to the next person. I was like, you motherfucker. Like, you don't want to send me back to the barracks and change? You know, no.
Like, this happened for a reason.
He figured
you're getting
that-
what you deserve.
Yeah, he figured that justice was
Justice was
there was
served.
balance.
Yeah, yeah,
There was balance in the force. He's like,
How
all
about you? Or is there any crazy hazing stories that you were a part of?
After you're in, it's really you don't get really hazed, but you do get ribbed. It's called getting ribbed. The best ribber around was Kurt Hennig. Mr. Perfect.
Yes.
We were in Puerto Rico with him, and this guy, and he was a magician. He tied my partner's pants in knots. Like, I don't know how he did it. Like, and we were there. We were only gone for like one match.
Yeah.
And what he did to these pants was, I don't know how you do it.
Would you say that it was perfect?
It was absolutely perfect.
It was absolutely perfect.
Well, there you go then. He lived up to his moniker.
The guy, and by the way, you know, there's been a lot of wrestlers who've died early.
Right.
He was one of those ones that was just like a really good dude. Like he treated us, you know, he was in the business 20 years before, you know, we got into the business.
Right.
And that dude was just like accepted us like we were like brothers. He was an amazing dude, funny, one of the funniest guys I've ever met. And
That's awesome.
And then he remembered you.
Yes.
So like we left Puerto Rico and then we saw him here a couple years later and he was just like hugs and
That's
and
awesome.
everything, and then he tied my partner's shoes when we were gone for one match. Could not get his shoes untied. Literally had to cut his shoelaces. It was crazy.
But that's great. That's great. Like he gives you a little inspiration, and then he's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm gonna get you on the back end too." You know what I mean? That's cool.
Florida's kind of like a mecca though for professional wrestling. Like everybody lives in Tampa. It's like everybody's over there.
Well, and then in Orlando they have the training center now.
Oh wow.
So that's where like everybody comes up now. So like they all go to Orlando, learn from like Shawn Michaels is the head coach, I think.
That's amazing.
And or not the head coach, but like he runs it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then
Is this the NXT facility?
NXT facility.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's nice. Yeah. I took a little break from professional wrestling shows for a little while there, and just started getting back into it again with the whole Cody Rhodes saga.
I got back into it after the last WrestleMania. Like I was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything on Sunday. They put WrestleMania on like Peacock or something.
It's on Netflix
So,
too.
but yeah, but the WrestleMania was on Peacock if you subscribe. So I did the free trial. Like I'm gonna cancel it anyway. So I watched it and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. And now ever since it's back on Netflix, I'm like, why not? Monday you're studying or whatever, throw it on. Who
Yeah,
cares,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I don't watch it at all.
No, well,
Well, because you lived it.
I only watch like I'll watch some clips on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't watch the shows.
Yeah.
Just like I haven't watched football since 2007, which is everybody goes, "You play college football?" I go, "I know." I couldn't tell you guys who won the last Super Bowl.
Right.
I have no idea.
it was the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, I've been so inundated with sci-fi and superhero shit that it's like, yeah. I mean, I seen the last fight I seen is when we went to the bar,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was it.
I follow a lot of like individual sports. Like I'll watch like boxing, the UFC. I follow sumo. So I follow the pretty almost any
It's
combat.
the diapers. It's the diapers.
It is. It's called a Mawashi. So
Yeah. Of course,
So,
of course, it's from Milwaukee.
yeah. Anyway, but the only sport that's even slightly team related that I pay attention to is the NFL. Like I can't tell you one I couldn't tell you one hockey player. I couldn't even name probably 5 baseball teams. So I don't know. Yeah.
I could tell you if we had a bigger American presence, I could watch it, and that was rugby.
Yeah.
Watched rugby at the Olympics last year, and I was just, it's nonstop action. It's like it's like this is awesome.
This is a sport.
Football, I think they've done the math. I think there's a total of 12 minutes of actual gameplay
Yeah.
In a football game.
in a
Yeah.
football
Of
game.
actual movement once
Yeah.
you take out all the breaks and the
Right.
pausing and the stopping and everything else.
12 minutes total. It's like
My sport was trampoline basketball.
Oh wow.
You know, I think it had like a 2-episode run. I was like, this is cool, right?
I remember that. I remember that.
They did about one season.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I can see this taking off. No,
We hung out with some rugby players from Orlando at the Renaissance Fair. They
Yeah.
were in town and they were just monstrous human beings. And they were all wearing the same like barbarian outfit, like every single one of them. And like we just kind of traveled with them. And like they were like, yeah, we play rugby. I was like, you fucking look like it. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
great. Like,
awesome.
the smallest one was like 250 pounds. He was a little guy. I was like, all right. So
outside of Kurt Hennig, were there any other wrestlers that you got to either participate with or learn from?
There's a lot. I mean, a lot of the old school guys. Like I wrestled Earthquake and Typhoon a lot.
Oh, I remember them. Yeah.
They just
Earthquake's
got
a
it.
big man.
Yeah, he was, and such a sweetheart of a man. He hated being a bad guy.
really,
Yeah, he hated it because he's such a good. He was such a good dude.
Yeah.
Typhoon was hilarious. Trying to think who else. I mean, there's a lot of people who have, like I was in Puerto Rico with Rey Mysterio. He was in
nice.
between stints
Yeah.
of like the WCW and WWE or
Yeah.
whatever.
He's still doing it. Ray's still doing it.
Man, and when you really look at him, like most of the guys are so big. So like for number one, for him to be like, and, you know, he's short and stocky, but like he's the best small guy to me, like in the ring. Like he's been the most durable.
Yeah.
Like he's
his
outlasted.
son's in it now. His son Dominic. Is big into it.
But
now.
I will say my favorite wrestler that passed away was Eddie Guerrero. There was just something about I don't know, maybe I gravitated towards the I lie, I cheat, I steal. I'm like, I get this guy. Really? He was a great bad guy.
But he was one of the best performers.
He was.
Yeah.
Like in the ring, he was fucking amazing. But like out of the ring, like his character performance was just so good.
Yeah.
He did you liked the bad guy. Like when he's hitting somebody with a chair behind the ref's back, you're like, I fuck with it.
The biggest surprise to me, and someone who I assumed I was going to hate, was Logan Paul. Because Logan Paul, like, love him or hate him as a person, like he's done lots of shitty things outside of all combat sports, but like as a performer, he's entertaining to watch. He does do some ridiculous things that like puts his body at risk.
He's a crazy athlete. He really is.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I couldn't deny. Like I was like, okay, like he wrestled in college, like he did the boxing thing, like, and he was okay at it. He was decent. He never got like knocked out or anything. But then like when I saw him do some of the air like the stuff he was doing with Ricochet, I was like, dude, like he's a great athlete. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, those aren't moves you can make mistakes on.
no,
That's-
he was like jumping and turning and landing on the ropes and backflipping off, and I'm like, dude, like if you mess that up, like you're done. You and your partner are gonna be hurt really bad. And he's entertaining.
I think that's why they've eliminated some of the wrestling moves along the way, right? Like I know the DDT by Jake the Snake was one of those moves that was injuring people.
No.
No, wasn't it?
Tombstones, they stopped using.
Yeah, too.
Undertaker?
Pile drivers.
Pile driver. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah, pile
Not the
drivers,
DDT,
but-
the pile driver.
They are so easy to take.
Right. So
the
it's
only
just-
the only person I can tell you that got hurt for sure was Steve Austin.
Steve Austin
Yeah.
and Owen Hart.
And it was because he thought he was going to do one way and he did another way.
right.
So there's like that is a miscommunication.
Yeah,
God.
that's a hard thing to watch too when you watch that sequence because like Steve Austin's neck is broken and like you're
Yeah.
like, oh god, and like Owen doesn't pick up on it right away, so Owen's like grabbing his head and I'm like, oh fuck, like come on, like
Yeah.
like, when he's got a broken vertebra, you're like, please no, stop wrenching on his head,
Yeah.
like this is so bad.
But that's how you're taught. You're supposed to grab the head.
Yeah.
Keep
It's like
going.
it's all about like the head is the steering wheel, and you don't grab it. You just like
yeah.
you're
Surround
picking
it.
up like a balloon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh,
Even though it's like it's pitiful the way it ended, like the way he like rolled him through and pinned him, like the fact that Steve continued to like stay engaged and finish the match, I'm like, his neck is broken right now. Like I can't even imagine the pain that he's feeling right now.
I mean, what about the cage match with Mankind?
Where
When he fell,
he was thrown
off the top of the
his
cage.
teeth went through like his upper
Yeah.
lip.
Yeah.
He was
The
broken all over
the Undertaker,
the
like
place.
the Undertaker, like kept talking to him, like saying, "Let's just go home, Mick.
Yeah.
Let's just go." Like,
By the
you
way,
don't have to
and-
keep going. Like
It wasn't the top of the cage that hurt him. It was when he went through the cage.
onto the
onto the mat. Yes,
Onto the
yes,
mat.
yes, yes.
That was
It's been a while since
that
I've
was
seen
the
it.
worst bump.
yeah. Mick Foley, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's like a fan favorite, and like a hardcore favorite, but he doesn't get enough credit. He
I think he's one of the guys behind the scenes that does a lot or did a lot with the wrestlers.
he's a really
after that.
intelligent guy. And when you look
No,
at
he just did. He wrote his books and rode off into the sunset.
Rode off into the sunset. He's one of those guys that marches to his own beat.
Yes.
So
yeah.
it's like he's not like a
that makes sense.
team guy. Like he's not like I mean, he does do some things. Don't get me wrong. Like he does that one show where they go looking for like memorabilia.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like he's
Like Pawn Stars or
but for pro wrestling. It's
pro wrestling. That's cool. That's
like
cool.
what he does is they go to like either old wrestlers or like people who own a bunch of stuff and they try to like get it from them.
Yeah,
You know?
I was watching this one show where they sold like one of Ric Flair's old robes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like made a couple grand off of that shit.
Yeah.
Especially because they got him to go in there, authenticate it, and then like sign for it. And then off to
Rick's over there in Tampa. He's
I heard
over
he's a
there.
wild man though.
I imagine
Ric Flair is no different than his
persona.
persona. He's no different.
Ric Flair is Ric Flair.
Ric
Ric
Flair.
Flair is Ric Flair.
Yeah. Yeah. his 30 for 30 was very entertaining. It's sad, like everything that happened with his son, and like you see like how his life was, but like his doctor couldn't, like when he actually, the WWE or WWF at the time told him to go to the doctor and like get looked at for like how his habits were. The doctor couldn't believe how much he drank. Like when Rick told him like no, like he's like every day I have about 9 beers and about 6 mixed drinks. And the doctor's like, wait, no, you don't. He's like, well, yes, I do. He's like, every day. And he's like, okay, well, how long you been doing this? And like he looks, he's like, about the last 18 years. And the doctor couldn't wrap his head around it. He's like, there's no way. Like,
I think it's just like anything else.
Like how?
You condition your body, right?
Yeah.
Like you condition your body to take pain. You're a wrestler. You train your body to do
Yeah.
these things. He trained his body to drink.
Well, he lived it. Like you're right. His persona. They said like everyone that traveled with him said Rick would go out no matter where they were. Like he would go out if they were in L.A. He would go out if they were in the middle of Missouri. He would go to some local bar, buy shots for the whole bar. He was Rick. He could not turn
That's
off.
who he is.
He couldn't stay home. He couldn't slow down.
That's pretty cool.
So
Have you met anybody that was kind of the opposite of Mr. Perfect? That was just kind of a total tool to everybody.
Trying to think. Everybody was very, like they don't like when every WWE tryout I had, they were busy.
yeah.
It was like so you didn't really get any chances to
There was no time for it. It
There's
was
no
just like
time,
everybody's
yeah.
doing their own thing and respectfully, hey, good luck, and we're gonna go do our own thing over here.
Yeah, it was so like nobody that I can remember meeting that was like a jerk or anything like that.
Thanks.
Like Abdullah Butcher's a sweetheart. Like all
great.
these like everybody like I can't tell you one guy that I was like, oh, I hated that guy.
Yeah.
But everybody else, everybody I met was pretty cool.
It's weird because there's guys like you'd think they'd be a dick, but then you hear stories about them and you hear that they're not. Like I don't know. I hear William Regal's a nice guy, and I'm like, just based off like the way he was, like his character, I'm like, there's no way he could be a nice guy. Like, he plays such a good asshole. That, like,
Right.
There's no way that guy is a good dude, but apparently William Regal's,
was.
yeah, everybody likes William Regal.
I think it lends to it's a tough physical job. You have to earn your way into it.
Yeah.
So if you're there, I think there's a level of respect of like you've made it here. We know what you've been
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's no different from jiu-jitsu. Like there's there are jerks, obviously, but like if you find a jerk, a black belt that's a jerk, it's rare.
Right.
It's rare because that like your ego gets beaten out of you so much that by the time you're a black belt, it's like things don't matter.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So Ian's probably going to be one of those rare unicorns when he makes it.
I'm not a jerk.
No. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I was about to say. What are you talking about?
It's like, hey, Nelson, you want to meet me outside real quick? I want to talk to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah. Explain this jerk thing
about
to
the
me.
podcast.
The only wrestler I really spent time with, like that, like outside, was Steve Blackman, just because he had a gym in Harrisburg. So like when I was a lot younger, trained with Steve Blackman.
Yeah.
And he was cool. He was really nice, and even though he had the physical capability of destroying you at any moment, he was really
He was an incredible athlete.
Yeah, he dislocated my ankle. It was a good. I told the story before, but yeah, like, he taught jiu-jitsu. Like Ken Shamrock and stuff would come in and do ankle lock seminars and stuff. Go figure. And I was the first time I ever was in his gym. Everybody in his gym's on steroids. Every single person, from the guy mopping the floor was on steroids. And
That's the way it should be.
yeah. And I was rolling with some guys, and I was small, but like I was technical, so I would catch guys in leg locks and stuff like that. And I was like, I saw Steve there teaching, and they're like, "Do you want to roll them?" And I was like, "Yeah, And Steve's like, "I'll roll you," and he came over and we're rolling, and like I rolling, and he broke my guard like he was a machine. Like he just went like this, and my legs just like no matter how hard I tried to lock my legs, they just blew apart. Like there was no holding my guard against him. And I was like, okay. So I put my shin on his stomach and inverted it because I'm like, oh, he put his heel up. I was like, why would he do that? So I'm like going for his leg. What I didn't realize is when I put my shin on his stomach, he clamped down on my heel. Well, Steve Blackman was exponentially stronger than I was. So like when he started to crank, like my heel just popped. Like it wasn't my knee like a traditional heel hook. Like my ankle gave. Like it popped and he went, ugh, and let go. And I was like, oh. And he's like, are you all right? And I was like, yeah. I wasn't all right. I just didn't want to look like a pussy in front of Steve Blackman. So I was like, yeah, I'm good. And like we shook hands and it was over. And like I'm thinking, my fucking foot hurts so bad. And it like blew up to like 20. I was like, yeah, okay, well.
No, we
learned that me as a 160-pound guy at the time cannot roll with Steve Blackman.
Yeah,
I was like, we're just physically different. So
I think we've all.
Well, you can. You just don't hand them your ankle.
yeah, just don't don't gift
On
wrap
a
him
silver platter.
with,
Here you go,
with
sir.
a bow. There you go, sir. Break my leg.
No, I think we've all had those regrettable moments where, and like, it's disturbing how loud a bone can pop in a room. Like, people can be talking and you can hear from across the room, like, oh, there goes an ankle. Oh, there goes a knee.
Yeah. Someone got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had one of those instances where I dislocated my shoulder. Thought it was a separation because I've dislocated it before. So I thought it just kind of popped back in. I'd be all right. And I kept rolling to finish the match. It was like 2 minutes. And then I go to get up and the adrenaline wears off. And I'm like, oh. And he's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm cool, man. I'm good. I go over. I start grabbing my bag. There's like 30 minutes left to open that.
You're feeling nauseous.
I'm feeling sick. I'm like, yeah, my body's cold. I'm like, he's like, what's going on? I said, I'm done. I forgot I got to leave early. I go to get in my car and I'm like, fuck.
I'm going straight to the hospital.
Yeah. I can't even turn this way with my right arm. So I'm driving with my left arm and I'm like, I'm only going to make left turns to go to the hospital now.
Well, have you not seen Lethal Weapon 2?
Oh, with throwing your shoulder against the wall
why
and
didn't you
popping
just
back
throw
out?
your shoulder against the wall?
Because I probably would have injured it worse.
Let's stretch this nerve even farther.
The last time
I saw something that somebody tried to do that, and they basically did the same thing.
Yeah.
Like they jacked their shoulder up so much more.
Oh my god! Probably broke their clavicle.
Yeah.
like you're already impaired.
Stop watching movies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that
Not
they
gonna
do.
work.
There's a lot of things that do not work in real life.
Yeah, the last time I dislocated my shoulder, there was an actual paramedic in the room. He goes to reset it. He looks at me. He's like, "You need to go to the hospital." I'm like, "Fuck, fuck, man."
Yeah, they can't reduce it. Yeah.
I had to get up and get my ass to the hospital. But that was a whole nother adventure. Delray Hospital.
Oh yeah.
The
Delray
worst.
Medical Center.
Yeah.
The worst.
Yeah, we call it Hell Ray for a reason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People on the floor screaming like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
A
it's,
guy with a
level
bullet
1.
in his hand walked in. He's like, don't worry, I worked with the cops. I got shot in the hand during a drug bust. I'm like, bro, you're on the drugs. You're so full of shit right now. And then this lady cop walks by and he's like talking and yelling and cursing at everybody. I'm sitting there in the hospital like holding my arm and I'm thinking, I'm gonna have to hit this guy with the chair. I got a one shot. I'm like, I'm looking at him like if he gets any closer, I have to hit him with the chair. He's yelling at people. The cop walks by and she goes outside. I'm like, what the fuck is she doing? Like, you're the cop. You're supposed to wrangle these people and make sure everyone's safe. So
She's calling back up.
went to ask her like, hey, this guy, he's disturbing everyone. This guy just lost his son in a motorcycle accident. You're in the hospital ER for 17 hours. So you start to know people. Hey, John, it's good to see you again. She's like, I'm waiting for my partner. I'm like, but you're the cop. You have the handcuffs, the gun, the mace. Everyone in there is unarmed, injured, or sick.
Yeah,
Yes.
Hey, that guy's on PCP though. He's immune to a couple of those things.
Yeah, but still, like, protect and serve, right? Get it back in there. But
Yeah, sometimes you got to protect yourself.
That's right.
when her partner came in, I will say he was a very large man. I was like, I get it. You waited for him.
Yeah.
But still, like, get your ass in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never go there again.
so-
I'll drive an hour out of my way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smaller ERs, I don't know. It's hit or miss though. You might get seen better. They might be understaffed, so you don't know. Delray's just high volume. Delray or St. Mary's, it's like they're both level 1. So
is that
if you go there, it's bad. Like they see everything. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah,
Like,
they
they-
should have like an enter at your own risk
Yeah.
at the like a little sign at the ER door.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Did you
yeah.
see that movie with Batista? Where they ran like a hospital for the underworld.
Oh, I know what you're talking
I know what you're talking about, but I
I know
haven't
what you're
seen it.
talking about. Yeah.
So how was it?
It was entertaining.
Yeah.
It was him and Jodie Foster. Like she was, Jodie Foster was like the doctor and he was like the nurse.
Yeah.
But like, it was kind of like, it was almost like it was tied to the Wick universe, but it wasn't. Like
Right.
you could go in there, but if you went in there, you couldn't kill each other. Like you had to like,
Rules.
Like Highlander, right? Like you're in a church, you're on
Yeah.
holy ground.
Gentlemen's rules. No.
Yeah.
The fighting stopped at the door.
Yeah. St. Mary's had a problem with that for a while because St. Mary's was right next to Riviera Beach. And they,
Riviera.
Yeah.
Riviera.
Yeah, Riviera. So they would have to Riviera. They would have to like change numbers on hospital rooms because like what was happening is like the gang related violence, the guy would get hit, they would know, okay, he's going to the ER at Delray and then he's going to get admitted. So they would literally go to the hospital to finish the job. and like they had a problem with that. My we'll just say his name is Rick. Used to work there as a PA, and he actually was involved one time where they did a guy on the gurney. Like,
holy shit.
He was gunshot wound. They heard a gunshot wound was coming in, young Hispanic male on his way to the ER. That he went out to meet the patient to help wheel him in because they were like, oh, he's shot, he's bleeding, we're going to get him in the surgery immediately. And like as he walked out, some guy came around the ambulance while they were wheeling him out on the gurney and shot him on the gurney.
Jesus.
And he was like, holy fuck. And like everybody hit the deck. But what do you do? Like it was like, and then he's like standing there. He's like what? Like because the nurses and everybody, the paramedics are all on the ground. Everybody's like, oh my god, like what the hell? And because the guy ran, as soon as he did it, he was off. And they were like, fuck.
Well, you call the coroner.
Yeah, I mean,
I was gonna say, you're dead.
At that point, it's like surgery's canceled. All right,
Free up a room.
Never mind.
Welcome to Delray.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say. So,
goddamn.
That's the shit you see in that. So level one facilities are fucking wild, bro. They're wild.
But like that, the Dave Bautista, like it's funny because some of these guys that transition from like wrestling into movies into things like that, and they find their roles. Like he got away from this Drax role in Guardians of the Galaxy and like, wanted to be a real actor. And people are like, no, I'm here for Drax. Yeah. He just put out another movie recently with it was George R. Martin, the writer of Game of Thrones, just put him in a movie.
I heard it's not good.
It absolutely bombed.
I
in the
didn't
box
even hear it
office.
was happening until it was in therears. I'm
And
like, oh, I didn't even know it was.
And
it
it's
was
got a
happening.
Resident Evil girl in it, Mila
Jovovich.
Jovovich. Yeah, she was in it as well, but nope.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
That's right. I like that little Fifth Element reference there. I like that.
Which is a great sci-fi movie.
It is.
I think it's top 5.
Yeah, it doesn't get enough love. It doesn't.
And,
it really doesn't.
That movie stands the test of time.
It does. I recently watched it like 2 years ago with my girlfriend.
Corbin Dallas.
Multipass.
No, it was great. All right, so speaking of sci-fi, right? We would discuss this prior to the podcast, right? So
is that like science fiction?
Science fiction. Okay. Yes, correct, right. So iconic sci-fi ships, or just a ship that had some significance in your childhood in one way or another, right? For me, because I am a super sci-fi nerd, it was definitely the Star Trek Enterprise, right?
Oh, wow.
That's right, Mr. Picard.
I mean, someone's judging you.
I love it. Listen, so Star Trek Enterprise has made so many things a reality. Think about it. It's the first time people like computer, right? They made fucking phones based off of like somewhat similarly that you can have, hey, Siri, hey, Alexa, like all, don't listen to me. All of these devices that respond in a way that when we were nerds watching it grow up are reality now. I mean, they even have things that like Google translators now, where you could speak in real time, kind of like the comm badges that they wore, and it will translate that shit for you.
Well, the Enterprise influenced enough that the actual space shuttle is named after it. They've named it the Enterprise.
Yes, and they even did 2 iterations of the Enterprise. For those of you who don't know, there was one with Captain Luke Picard, and then the other one with Scott Bakula from Quantum Leap.
Yeah, there's multiple. Well, I mean,
I'm right there with Shawn.
Well, I mean, if you want to get
Sean is so excited.
If you want to get technical, the letter at the end is for each different version. So
Listen,
the one that's the D means it's been destroyed 3 times.
Thank you.
In that whole riff,
right? You knew
that whole riff between Star Wars and Star Trek, I'm definitely on the team Star Wars.
I cannot stand Star Trek.
Oh, come on.
Stand it.
Have you watched it?
Yes, I have, and I tried. Like, it was one of those shows that came on, like on Fox. I think when Fox first started,
It was Fox and then UPN 9.
it was like 7 o'clock. It would come on, or 6:30.
The Next Generation.
No. This was before that came out. This was just like
It's on the original Star Trek.
It was the original Star Trek, and I tried to watch it because I'm looking for aliens, and it's just them going to different planets. And it's boring.
Okay. But the original Star Trek did break a lot of barriers as well. It was one of the first interracial kisses.
Listen, man, you only get so much credit for that.
It was the first, but yeah.
He actually tried to tackle some green booty in one of the episodes as well.
Yeah, William
too,
Shatner took it all down, so it doesn't matter. It's like, it's like, oh wow, it's like he kissed a black chick. It's like, dude, he fucked a green chick in the last episode. Like, Jesus Christ, this guy doesn't discriminate.
But that's how you do it.
His standards were: is it a woman?
Right.
Go for it.
Is it a female? All right.
So if it wasn't,
Beam me up, Scotty.
So if it wasn't Star Trek for you, then what would you say?
Oh, it's Star Wars. I mean, I saw the original Star Wars in the movies. I was 4 years old. I can remember it. I can remember it.
There you go.
And I was hooked.
And
I was hooked.
Out of Star Wars, what was the most influential ship to you, or the ship that just stands out to you?
Well, I think it's you can't do that to me. So there was 2 toys that I wanted and 2 toys that I never got, and it was the 2 iconic ships. It was the X-wing fighter and it was the Millennium Falcon.
Yep. I knew you were going to go Millennium Falcon. It's great. It's great.
But so I had a thing like Battlestar Galactica, the first show,
Yes.
from the 80s,
Yes.
had rad ships,
Right.
Like it was like a I
Like
don't
the
know.
smaller, like X-wing type
Yeah,
ships.
it looked like
Yes,
an X-wing.
yes,
Like
yes.
it had 3 fins instead. Like it had 3 wings.
Yes.
But like that was a cool ship. But like it was all because like I was an only child.
Right.
I didn't have buddies to hang out with in a Millennium Falcon, so I geared towards those singular ships.
All right. That's what's
So the X-wing fighter was always my dream ship.
And it did take out the Death Star, right? So kudos to that.
Who the fuck is building ships in the Empire? Like, they constantly make exhaust valves that go straight to the core. It's like, what the fuck? Like, who keeps doing this?
So for the storyline that you're probably missing,
okay,
there was someone who was brought against his will, a scientist that was brought against his will to work on the Death Star.
Yeah, the main engineer.
And he was the one who designed this part in order to destroy the Death Star for the Rebel Alliance. You're welcome, sir.
How convenient.
You're welcome, sir.
It was a deliberate design flaw that they added in on one of the later movies.
Right. So while Ian's looking up famous ships, Eddie,
I
what
was
do you
looking.
got?
I was looking up. I wanted to make sure that I got the right name of the ship I'm about to say.
All right, go ahead, go for it while you remember it.
I mean, all right, listen, for me, 2 of my favorite sci-fi ships of all time both come from Japanese animated shows.
Okay.
One of them is the Bebop from Cowboy Bebop.
Nice.
Because it's just an awesome ship. It's like a junker that's going through, that's run by this old bounty hunter named
Right.
Jet Black. And the other one...
Whoa, chill out with the racist shit.
Jet Black.
All right.
His name is, he's a white guy. His name's Jet Black.
come on.
Anyway. And the other one is from another animated show called Outlaw Star, and it's the XGP-15. But they refer to it as the Outlaw Star. In that show, it's like the ships are called grappler ships, and space it's a typical space battle. But when they get in close quarters, each ship has like deployable arms or different weapons that they can fight in close, maneuverable. So
Oh, nice.
It's
Okay.
actually a pretty good show. It just got washed away in the late '90s with all the other anime shows that came over.
Fair enough. Ed, what about you?
I was gonna say.
All right, that's all the time we got.
I mean, I was gonna say the Enterprise, but you jumped right in. And,
You're welcome.
We're surrounded by Trekkies.
and took that.
You still got Voyager. You got the DS9.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put those above Enterprise. That one kind of set the standard for everything else they did after that, especially when you're talking Star Trek. One I'm surprised that I haven't seen more influence come out of is Firefly. They really used the ship as like the backdrop and the setting for everything, much more than what Star Trek or any of them previously kind of done.
Sure.
And nobody's really touched on
since.
that since.
Yeah, it's kind of been. It was like kind of like the Cheers of spaceships. It's like,
Yes.
you're living here. This is it. Everybody comes here, and we're doing our thing. You know what I mean? Cheers might be a little older. For
I
you.
remember Cheers. But,
Which also is a show that stands the test of time. I went back and watched the entire series last year. Love it. Ted Danson.
Home Improvement stands the test of time too. Home Improvement's still good. There was that ship in that show Lex, which depending on how you look at it, is either a dragonfly or a floating dick. I mean, it depends how you look at it.
No one else has seen a floating dick, but I mean, it's.
The Sci-Fi Channel.
I saw it in Austin Powers. There was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And it's a huge Johnson.
Right.
Johnson.
God bless those movies. All 3 of them.
Yeah, Mike Myers has had a pretty crazy historic career as far as making hits.
He's very good at like running out series, like Austin Powers, and then he did Shrek, and he ran like he does it for a while.
They have another Shrek coming. I do believe.
Yeah, that trailer looks
Bad?
looks
Really?
looks a little iffy, man. Shrek's kids are in it. It looks, I don't know, man.
What do you got against green kids?
Nothing. Nothing, man. Everybody should have the right to.
Everybody knows when you got to add kids, there's a problem. Think about every sitcom that's ever created. They had to add the new kid.
That's the end of the run.
That's the end of the
They've
run.
run out of ideas.
Yep.
Interesting.
They already should have been the happily ever after and written off the show. And they're like, we need one more season.
But what about kids that just disappear from the show altogether? You guys remember Family Matters? Have you ever seen? There was one season where the younger daughter just disappeared and never came back. They didn't even fucking discuss it.
That's just contract negotiations.
got rid of that
That's what
bitch.
happened. They're like, she wanted more money. Goodbye.
I mean, like, gone. They're like, is no one going to address
Talk
this?
about it? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, even when they replace characters, like actresses or actors with someone else, like they would do the obligatory, like, haven't seen you here before. Like, yeah, you know, like
Gina Carano is one of the more famous ones.
That got
removed from a show. Like,
but she got removed for political reasons.
But it was
off air.
Technically,
bullshit,
though,
too.
that show was over. Like that's like she could have been just a one-off.
right?
Yes,
right.
yes.
You know,
Cara Dune.
Yeah, The Mandalorian is probably some of the best Star Wars that's come out in a very long time, though.
Yeah, it's
and
good.
Gina Carano did have a fantastic role.
She was
Right.
a very
In the
strong
show.
female character.
let me ask you guys a question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a little emotional when the X-wing at the end of the season 1, when the green lightsaber ignited? Were you like?
This is
When,
it. This
when
is
Luke
his
showed
moment.
up, yes. Because that's how Luke should be, not like a
It was
weirdo
about
drinking blue milk
goddamn
on a fucking
time.
planet.
About God, where has he been? It's about time you fucking did something.
That
Yeah.
was his badass Vader moment. I forget
Yeah.
which one in the series Vader comes in and just murks everyone from one side of the room to the other side of the
I'm
starship.
talking about the hallway scene. In
The hallway scene.
That's in the movie.
Oh, the one where they went after the Death Star blueprints.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. What was that?
I forget which one that was.
It's Rogue One.
Rogue
One.
One. Yes. That was his moment in the sun where he's like, all right, I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm going to fuck everything up. They're like, it'll take a battalion of men to kill these drones. And he's just like, the fuck it will.
I didn't like how in Obi-Wan, I didn't like how Obi-Wan was able to beat Vader in combat. I thought that was inaccurate, you know? Like,
I don't think it is.
you don't think it is? You
No,
think you think
no.
he beat him?
I think he could beat him. He's beaten him before. When you think about this, think about people in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
If there's people who are killers, but if you've beaten them multiple times, you get in their heads.
Yeah. It's like they got your number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well.
You think even though he had the cybernetic enhancements and he was like, I don't know, maybe you're right.
No,
Maybe
look, he's the one who dethroned Anakin.
He did.
Chopped him up. He had the high
high
ground.
ground, to be
He
fair.
had the high ground. He didn't fucking listen, right?
He didn't listen.
And he chopped him up. So,
What do you think of
to
the
Sean's
Acolyte?
point,
I did not watch it.
you did a good thing for yourself.
yeah.
Yeah. It was so bad.
I envy you, and I wish I could look at the world from that perspective now. Yeah.
The last show I watched was the one where Thrawn showed up.
Fucking
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, yeah.
Ahsoka.
I liked
Which
it.
I liked Ahsoka.
I liked it a lot
Ahsoka,
too.
Ahsoka was solid. It was
Yeah.
solid. It's just a lot of people. I think they missed out because they didn't watch like 200 other episodes of the animated stuff to catch up, so they could fully understand. But it was a good show. It wasn't one of the stinkers
She
that they
beat
put
Vader.
out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ahsoka, yeah. Ahsoka's she's kind of like a weird technical. Like she's like a Husamar Paul Harez. Like she's really it's really hard to train for her skill set. Like Ahsoka's like a wild card.
And she has a spiritual side to her. I don't know if it's because of the race of alien that she is or whatnot, but she's able to tap into like this other realm.
Captain Kirk definitely would have hit her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely,
she was resurrected by one of the Force gods. So that little bird that's following her around was kind of the companion of that Force god that resurrected. So that Force god gave her life to resurrect her. So there's some hinting that plausibly she takes over as one of the 3 Force gods. So she is, even though she's a Force user, she's a little kind of outside of the norm, which is even
Right.
why she has the white lightsabers, which you get if you like take dark side sabers and bring them back.
Interesting. Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't
Yeah,
know that either.
there's a lot going on with Ahsoka's character.
There was do you guys read the comic books? The Vader comic books were incredible.
I heard they were excellent. I haven't had a chance to
They
read
were
them.
incredible, and there was a version where Vader went into, I guess it's some kind. I guess the Force realm.
Yeah.
And he got as forcefully kicked out because Luke was in the Force realm at a different time, but they were there at the same. It was
Right.
time and space.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll have to read those.
They played a little bit with time and space in Ahsoka, that little realm that they kind of have her in there that manipulates time and space a little bit. They did more of that on the cartoon, where they actually did use it to teleport from like one side of a planet to another side of a planet, and they hint at being able to use the different portals in there to not just travel different planets, but actual different points in time.
Interesting.
So like when she would, and I want to say it was in Ahsoka when they had it, you hear echoes of some of the stuff from the original movies and things like that, and it's supposed to be like hinting at, because it's a whole Force area that you can kind of.
Sure.
That's where the Emperor and everything is trying to get into, because the ability to just fuck with time really just like now you're not getting rid of them.
Who would you say is the strongest Sith Lord? It's not Darth Sidious, is it? Is it really Emperor Palpatine?
No.
Someone was telling me about there's
I think Darth Maul had a good run.
He wasn't
he wasn't the-
powerful. He was the coolest.
Yeah.
Don't get me like I think he was the coolest, but they're like Darth.
Who's the one that drains life?
There's a bunch of past Sith.
Yeah, there's
that are just like and their names are escaping.
Whenever
me
you
right
ask who's one of the most powerful Sith Lords, there's a name of one Sith Lord that comes up that he could hit.
We have Darth Sidious, Darth Vader, Darth Bane.
No.
Nope.
He could
Palpatine.
No, he could draw life.
Nihilus.
No.
Nope.
He
Wait.
Are you talking about the guy that would have been
Darth
immortal?
Revan.
No, Darth Nihilus.
Darth Nihilus and Darth Sidious.
Look up Darth Nihilus, because Darth Nihilus apparently had his Dark Force power was he is able, if he could like see you and you were in his vicinity, he could just draw life force from it. And they said he was even capable of drawing life from like an entire planet. So I mean that sounds pretty goddamn strong. Like
That's pretty strong.
Yeah, he wasn't like he was less geared towards like being up close and like fighting with a sword.
This is it. Yeah, it's when Darth Nihilus stole all of Qatar's life energy to a state to satiate his hunger. He became this ability. He had this ability to be powerful, mysterious Sith Lord. Became a living wound in the living Force.
Yeah, he was like, if he could see you, he was like a long range, more magic type.
Yeah,
Sith
like he
Lord.
could just like steal your life force.
And I don't know how the hell you fight him if like you're trying to get to him and he's just draining you as you're in his area.
Easily
Like,
close your eyes. If you don't see him, he doesn't exist.
I mean, if you're that evil that they refer to you as a wound in the Force, I mean, I don't know, man. That's I never heard Yoda say that. I never heard say he's a wound in the Force. I never
think
heard him say that.
the most misunderused characters, though, still to this day, are the Ewoks. Like they had their time in the sun. I need more cannibal bears. You know, they were cannibal Care Bears.
You're talking about you want to see like an Ewok Sith Lord? Like what are you talking
I
about?
wouldn't mind an Ewok Sith Lord.
I take it you guys have heard the theory that Jar Jar was the.
We have.
Sith.
And I
Was a secret Sith Lord?
I like that theory.
Yeah.
I would be on board for that. Bring him back as an evil Sith
Well,
Lord.
that's why he wasn't killed, like in the Battle of Naboo and everything.
Yeah,
Like,
all
he was
those,
acting the
all
whole
those
time.
amazing ways he managed to not get
Just
killed the whole
narrowly
way
missed
through.
death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But back to Darth Maul as well. Like, I do agree he was one of the coolest characters. He was probably the most misutilized in the movies, the cartoons and the comics and all that. He was a bit of a badass.
He fought
Yeah.
Obi-Wan
When
and
they got to
Qui-Gon at the same
expand on him,
time.
but you also have to remember in the movies he was at that point he was just a tool to get to somebody stronger. So that's what he was being used for.
Yeah, it was kind of fucked up. I wouldn't have mind, like when you first seen him, I didn't know anything about Darth Maul, but he had the spike in the head and the dual lightsaber, like a bow. I was
Who's the droid? Grievous. I liked Grievous.
Grievous?
Where he would
Oh,
just
yeah.
he did like the bullshit windmill lightsaber thing. I'm like that's bullshit, but all right.
It was like a brain and a pair
Yeah.
of lungs in a robot.
Now I'm
barely working.
Right.
though,
Yes.
to that.
real bad COPD. Like I was like, oh man,
You should have sprung for the better lungs, bro.
right? And you're fighting a lawnmower essentially. I'm like, oh damn, like all right, this is great now.
Yeah, I think it's a bunch of bullshit, man. But yeah, back to the Ewoks because
No.
No.
Even if there was an Ewok Sith Lord, like if he's gonna kill me, I'm not scared. Like I'm gonna be like, you're fucking adorable.
Well,
Like,
apparently they broke like George Lucas's rules. He never wanted to see an Ewok with a lightsaber and a Wookiee with a lightsaber.
But
And
there are Wookiee
There are Wookiee
yeah.
Jedi. Yes.
Jedi.
And they made a Wookiee Jedi in that last series, the one that we hate,
Acolyte.
the Acolyte.
but that's badass though. Like a big samurai Wookiee. That'd be fucking.
Bro,
Well-
he even had your haircut.
Black Kersits.
Oh, in The Mandalorian.
In the
yeah,
Mandalorian.
from no, it was the back to tank.
Yeah, he was the German Wookiee.
German.
His name.
Kyrgyzstan.
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 Yeah.
It's Black Kurg is something.
Yeah.
That dude was a gladiator.
Yes, I liked that Wookiee. That
Yeah.
was a great Wookiee.
He's one of Chewbacca's like mortal enemies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have loved to see that fight.
And now here's something else, and like I hate when they. So I'm a big stickler for sticking to the lore.
Right.
Yes, agreed.
Netflix is not.
Okay, do you remember in what was 7, which was Star Wars: A New Hope redone
yeah.
with a planet instead of a Death
Yeah.
Star.
The Force
But-
Awakens.
The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
Do you remember when Han shot Chewie's bowcaster?
Yes.
So yes. Yeah.
Do you know he couldn't have done that?
Really? And why?
Because in order to shoot a bowcaster, you have to have the strength of a Wookiee.
Oh shit.
Those bowcasters are like.
There's no way that Han
Han
Solo
was like,
that
It was like I was like, what are you doing? Like I hate when they're like, this was
I
a
missed
tiny.
that. I missed
It's a
that.
tiny little thing, but it's okay. I can't watch this movie anymore.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, they messed it up. Well, that's the same thing that they did with that last series that we were talking about. Is that all of a sudden it's like they were kind of turning the Jedi into villains in this show.
Well, I thought we were staying away from politics.
And
Listen.
the Force was space witches.
Listen.
Having
Whoa. Well, listen.
babies with the Force.
You created a lesbian space witch cult that had created life years before the Sith Lords figured out how to do it. I'm like, wait, what? Wait a minute.
Yeah, they
What the
totally
fuck are you
shit the
talking
bed
about?
all over the Force.
Like, I don't know. No matter what you believe, you can't fuck the artwork and lore that
Yeah,
up that
I agree.
bad.
I
Like,
agree.
I'm like, all right.
And
I
they-
checked out. I made it to the lesbian space cult witch fucking episode, and I was like, all right, I will finish this episode, and then I am done.
Yeah.
I am done.
But they also
I can't.
they got rid
cannot.
of really cool characters. The show did have some cool characters. There was one Jedi that was in stasis for like years, and he had this force shield around him. He was just meditating on his life.
And he just
And
decided
you
to stop
can't
floating
kill
and
him.
drink poison.
And the one girl just gets in there like, you should kill yourself. And he's like, okay.
Good idea.
And he kills himself,
Yeah,
right,
it's-
because of guilt. And I'm like, what? He's supposed to be like at such a higher level where he doesn't even have to communicate with you. Everything is through astral
And you
force.
convince
Well,
him with
why-
half a sentence.
Was a she? Who? I don't understand why.
Because he
All of
was
us watched it, and none of us do.
he was essentially responsible for her sister getting murdered when he was younger. He was like a Jedi apprentice at the time, and now he's like this full-fledged badass Jedi, and he's
was-
in this meditative state.
Yeah.
And she comes back, and she realizes she can't kill him and get through the Force shield.
Yeah.
So she's going to convince him, "Hey, you killed my twin sister.
It's one of those.
You should kill
It's
yourself."
one of those Disney shows where like the men are all dumb. Like all the men Jedi are really fucking dumb. And I almost checked out in the first episode when there was the fat Jedi.
Yeah.
Like when you're a Jedi, like not only are you disciplined physically, you're disciplined mentally, right?
Right.
And they're in the Jedi temple. It's thriving in this point in time. And everybody's like, and all of a sudden in the back there's just like and I'm not talking like husky, like strong fat. Like he was bad posture, back hump fat. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, that guy in the back of the room.
But wait a second. Was he a human? Because think about it. Could a Hutt be a Jedi?
He wasn't a Hutt.
There is a Hutt Jedi.
This kid was Asian. He wasn't a Hutt. I was like, I didn't see no tail. I was like, a Hutt Jedi? A Hutt Jedi I'd have been fine with. I'd have been like, oh, he's a Hutt. Give him a break. He's
So
gonna
wait, you saying too much Panda Express?
So it's not about being fat. It's about your species.
right. Right. Well, I mean, if you're a Hut, come on, man.
Right.
Like, if you got a lot of high blood sugar and a big BMI and you're a Hut, I'm gonna give. It's like if you're Samoan, I'm gonna give you a break. He wasn't Samoan. I'm like, fuck, look at that guy.
Did you ask him if he was Samoan?
I didn't have to. Listen, I have eyes.
Yes, I can see what's happening
I
here.
treat diabetic people all the
Okay,
time.
all right,
And I'm looking at this guy going, motherfucker, like, no. Like, get your thyroid checked. Like,
That's somebody's son.
That's discipline. He's not. The Jedi program must have took the fucking month off. I don't know. I'm like, dude, get that guy on a treadmill. You have treadmills.
I agree. If he wasn't a humanoid species, then so be it. He could be a larger person, but we're gonna have to go back and fact check.
Right. I mean, if he was a little fluffier but had good posture, I'd be like, okay, he's still training.
Okay, he's a
training.
linebacker.
Like,
He's a linebacker.
He's a Padawan. Like, give him time. But like, that guy's not fucking trying. He's not. Like, I'm worried about that guy. Whoever is running the physical fitness at the Jedi Temple needs to reevaluate their program because that guy is failing. He's failing your whole. I noticed him out of everything going on. I missed the plot.
But
Wouldn't it
fall under the same category as like a doctor who gets an F or a D, right? But he's still a doctor, right? That Jedi could have been a D Jedi. He could have been.
No, exactly. Exactly.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's apples and oranges.
Yeah. You're supposed
It's like it'd be like seeing a fat Navy SEAL.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
How are you the elite of the
point.
elite? Like, no.
Yeah.
And that's what pissed me off, Sean. I was
get
like,
it.
fuck, come on. I get it, Disney. We're trying to include everybody. But
Sure.
Get a different extra. Get a different extra for the shot in the background. Not that guy.
What if he was just making the robes for the Jedis?
No, he had a Padawan training thing on. No, he was.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
That's not working. His training isn't working. I'm sorry. I'm not. No.
All right.
And also, didn't the guy give like a lightsaber to a kid?
That's true. He did. That's the same guy. Well, yeah. It was a different Jedi who gave the lightsaber to the kid to entice her to be a Jedi.
So what, are we just handing out fucking handguns at the elementary school now? Like, what the fuck? I mean, like, he's like, here, when you get older, you can use this. I'm like, you just gave a killing machine to a child who has no training. Like,
Well, to be fair, Obi-Wan did the same thing to Luke.
right, but
he was supposed to be the exception, though, wasn't he?
he was going to train Luke, though, right?
Well, he didn't. He just, this is a lightsaber, and gave it to Luke, and Luke was like, "Oh, look at this." and then he started training.
All right, fair.
all right.
Maybe we should work on this responsibility thing. I don't know.
All right, to end the podcast, we're going to go with what your favorite Star Wars movie was.
Movie?
Of all of the movies that came out.
Now,
Yes.
wait. Your favorite or the best?
Let's go with your personal favorite.
Your personal favorite. Your personal favorite.
So, oh boy, this is tough because I'm gonna go outside the box here.
So am I.
Han Solo.
Okay. All right.
I think that movie doesn't get the love that it deserves.
I did enjoy it.
I enjoyed the hell out of it, and people said it was terrible, and I was like, I don't understand. It's where you get to meet Han, you meet Chewie, you get a cameo of Darth Maul at the end.
Yeah.
Like you get Woody Harrelson.
Yep.
Like I thought the movie had a great plot. It had a lot of action. I think that was like my most entertaining. I shouldn't say it's my favorite. I can't say it.
You did.
No, dude, it's Empire.
It's Empire.
Empire Strikes Back.
He's like, that's the best one. That's the one that you attach
Like
yourself to.
that's the one. That's the one I like.
I mean, is anyone picking something other than Empire?
I was the Return of the Jedi.
Really?
Yeah, Ewoks, bro.
I got
oh my gosh.
I got a different.
Cannibal teddy bears, bro. I'm in.
I got a different one.
What do you got?
I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, and it's fine. But I was very young.
Is that Jedi porno?
No, man. It's.
Are you a Jar Jar fan?
Attack of the Clones.
I'm going with Phantom Menace, and the reason I'm going with Phantom Menace, I understand Jar Jar's annoying as fuck. I get the bad CGI, but listen, I was a kid. And it was the rebirth of Star Wars. All we had was the first three.
That's true.
I had grown up on A New Hope, which wasn't even called A New Hope. It was just called Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And when they were saying a new Star Wars movie was coming out, I was like, what the fuck? It was magical.
Fair
it was
point.
magical. The McDonald's shit. I remember the toys. Like, it was like...
Yeah.
And then when I saw the two fucking lightsabers with Darth Maul, I was like, holy shit! Like, your brain couldn't even process it at the time.
I agree.
Those movies, if you go back now, I think they're even better now than they were. Like
They hold up much better.
They held up much better. Like they weren't like. I think we were expecting more because of where we came from.
Yes.
But like when you go back now and watch them, you get there's only one thing. There's only one flaw in those movies. One flaw.
What's that?
How fast Anakin turns.
Yeah.
He literally went there to arrest him and goes, "All right,
Yeah.
let me." And
I mean, but he did it for Padme. I mean,
There's no way. Listen, Natalie Portman ain't that hot.
Bro, I mean,
she ain't that fucking hot.
let's change.
I'm not killing a bunch of kids.
Change the Force hot. No.
No, not kill a bunch of kids. Well,
The Clone Wars cartoon did a lot to elaborate on that and kind of fix that mistake because they gave a whole bunch of the background and everything that went on, and it made it more plausible. Where it's like, oh, all this stuff happened between 2 and 3, so now you can see the reason why. But yeah, originally it's like that was a little quick.
and like it literally happened in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Right.
and when he goes into the temple to kill all the
Children.
younglings, I mean, how many of them are fat?
Well, those are the first ones he killed, so you couldn't see them because they couldn't quite run away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got the slow ones first.
All right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But younger fat children you can accept because they can at least grow up to be healthier Jedi.
Fair, but not younglings in the temple. You should at least be eating right and running.
You know how they could have survived if they were all Ewoks.
Yeah, see? Yes.
He couldn't hurt an Ewok.
Goddamn right. They're
But
too
a sand
cute.
person.
They're too cute. Fuck those sand people. Ed, no. You're acting. No, you didn't pick, you fucking cheater. What the fuck?
No.
I did Empire. Yeah.
Empire.
That's why I said who's not picking Empire because
That's a fucking cop out.
He hides inside the animal in that one, right? Slices open its guts.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
I see you
No,
were
he's
paying
allowed to do
attention a
that.
lot.
And I do, but kind of, but I don't. So,
I can't believe I picked Phantom Menace, but I had to.
Hey, why not,
It was
man?
the significance in time.
and I did think your initial pick was a good pick. I was one of the few people that I felt like I really fucking liked this.
That was an
I
outlier. That was an
love it too.
outlier, but it's fair.
Yeah.
It's fair.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks,
for
Sean.
Appreciate it.
Anytime. That was nice.
Yep.
Welcome to shit, bro. Did you know that there's the world's shittiest part?